Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast as part of the Parenchymal Journal series. This audio podcast as part of a BattleZtorm swarm. This audio podcast as part of the Bostics Vortex. This audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. In this audio podcast, some conclusions and also some answers to the questions to the questions that have been put forward in the as part of the aims of this works. So number one, one of the first questions was, can those within the faith, can those within the faith, can Muslims donate their organs? Yes, the answer is yes, and Muslims can donate organs. And whilst there are some perceptions on organ on in around solid organ transplantations where Muslims cannot donate or can't donate, these again do not represent the Islamic world entirely entirely or 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 sort of or sort of or sort of unanimously. Uh, at the same time, a campaign prompting the need for increase of blood for increase in blood and solid organ transplantation from amongst those in black and Asian minority ethnicities, or BAME, and amongst the Muslim faith was and had been published in 2015. There is no one faith that can claim privileged status regarding the complex and challenging questions in around solid organ transplantation. And in around solid organ transplantation. Question two: is there an Islamic stance on sort of using social media, mainstream media to prompt solid organ transplantation education? The Islamic stance on the use of either social media or mainstream media would be positive to prompt solid organ transplantation if this helps increase life expect if this increases helps increase life expectancy, and if policy at the same time, if policymakers want to see an increase in solid organ transplantation from those from a faith-based population, from a faith-based population, or the Muslim population in this context, and a more inclusive process, a more inclusive process, um, then healthcare service providers and service providers and sort of service providers and sort of see as in context of authorities need to involve Muslims to help to help inform practices. And specifically, there needs to be further cohesion between those producing policy and Muslim faith involvement. Question three was, does the healthcare scientists or those with laboratory specialisms have a basis in providing the public education surrounding solid organ transplant in around solid organ transplantation? The answer is yes. However, more research at the same time is required to shed light on what is the most effective approach to become pro for was sorry what is the most effective approach um, uh, to become proactive, to be proactive or become proactive surrounding and around surrounding education for those in amongst the late in amongst the faith amongst faith from faith perspectives, but also in amongst the lay public. The proliferation and the usage of social media, mainstream media for in around education surrounding different long-standing conditions cover over the past decade has also prompted opportunities or created opportunities to see to for for health professionals healthcare professionals to help inform practices. That draws this audio podcast to a close. It's been an audio podcast as part of the Parenchymal Journal series. This audio podcast is part of the BattleZtorm Swarm. This audio podcast is part of the Bostics Vortex. This audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production.